Hi, everybody. It's episode 493 of PodQuest.
Hey.
It is Wednesday, January 24th, 2024. I am Chris. With me is Walnut.
Hi, I'm here.
I think Druten got lost on his way here tonight or something. I don't know. He said he wouldn't be here.
Probably. I don't know. He's always out and about, apparently. Man about town.
I think he had PFL or something tonight. I forget.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Today's the only day that they can play their board game or something. Fucking nerd or something like that.
Hey. Show it its respect. Their football D&D campaign.
Yeah, their football D&D board game. They're you think fantasy football's bad because that's just pretending to be a manager of players that are actually playing the game. This is even worse because you're rolling the dice and playing D&D football.
Yeah,
there is an actual
you're
board
making
to
up
it,
teams and stuff.
Yeah, and this has been going on for like 40 years or something.
Yeah, we had talked about it 2 or 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah,
maybe a little longer now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everything seems like 2 or 3 weeks ago, when in reality it may have been a month ago.
Or a year ago.
Or 6. Who knows?
I mean, look, apparently I've been slowly poisoning myself for the last 2 months.
How? How have you been doing that?
So, at our wonderful Wegmans, there are boxes of Nature's Bakery fig bars. Big boxes full of 16 of them. It's a big full box. On the end cap, where they have the gluten-free stuff. Apparently, those boxes aren't gluten-free.
But they're with all the gluten-free stuff?
They're with all the gluten-free stuff. And so I bought I bought my first 6-pack of pumpkin spice Nature's Bakery fig bars that were straight up in the gluten-free section, but I cannot find online that they are gluten-free. I bought that in mid-October. And I was like, these were good. I'm going to buy these big boxes that are right on the end cap. And I bought a full box and ate it. And then last time I went food shopping, I bought another box and I ate one today. And as I was finishing it up, actually what had happened was I, for some reason, decided to look at the package and saw first ingredient, whole wheat flour. I was like, fuck it. And I ate it. It's I already have it. And I ate 6 of them yesterday, 3 packs of them yesterday. So apparently, it was for a while. I was only doing one every other day or every couple of days, a package every couple of days.
You've just been slowly ruining your gut health.
I've been slowly poisoning myself for the last 2 months, 2 to 3 months, apparently, which might explain why I've been so depressed lately because of this.
Because your belly hurt.
My belly doesn't bother me, but I've been having severe acid reflux for the last year, so.
I thought you had narrowed that down to coffee.
Well, yes, but I also hadn't had any fig bars until yesterday, and I was having issues yesterday, and I was having issues today. So it might have been coffee, it might have been these, but also I don't know, maybe it's 50-50. Who knows? Gut health sucks. I have an upper endoscopy in March, so.
Ooh, that sounds uncomfortable. It's good it's good. Hopefully you figure out
it's fine. I've had it done before. They put you to sleep and they put a camera down into your stomach and upper intestine and they take biopsies and just make sure everything looks fine.
Yeah, that just sounds like a bad time.
You're asleep.
Yeah, doesn't it? Don't you wake up with a sore throat and stuff?
I didn't last time.
Okay, so it's not when you're intubated, because I know those people when they wake up their throats and stuff are sore.
The camera is about the width of a pen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a small camera. Maybe no thicker than the width of an average pinky. It's not a big camera. It's not to be intubated. It's
a tube, a fairly large tube.
Full-on tube to make sure that your esophagus doesn't collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is all the way around your esophagus. It's not to allow air in and out. Whereas this is just a camera that has to go in while you're still breathing, so it has to be small enough to where you can keep breathing. It's fine. It shouldn't bother me. But if it does,
it sounds terrible.
It's on a Thursday, so I'm taking a Thursday and Friday off, and it's a free.
At least they aren't going the other direction to get there.
Look, I'm 35, and probably about 5-10 years, that's going to have to happen. You're probably you too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that they don't have to stick a camera up there for that.
That's what they do.
They don't stick a camera into your stomach. from there. Is what I mean.
No, not into your stomach, but they do stick a camera up your beehole.
Or they, some of them just do the finger thing.
No, like you should get a colonoscopy at least every X amount of years when you reach a certain age. Like once every 10 years when you reach like 45, 50 or something like that. And they stick a camera up your beehole. But again, it's one of these small. It's not. It's a small camera. Like it's not going to be like a major.
You don't know.
Camera.
It could be the size of a golf ball. You've never had it done.
Look, you're right. I don't. But you have to clean out your system the entire day beforehand, which is not fun.
Exactly. You have to poop your brains out, and then they come in with a softball and shove it up your butt.
Exactly. Oh man,
you're sitting there waiting for it to walk in with a softball, and you're just like, I have to go.
Yeah. Look, there was already a softball up there. What did you do in your past? But anyway,
what's on the agenda?
On the agenda, we watched Annihilation. Cobb, I guess you got to play the new Prince of Persia game, which I'm looking forward to playing when I eventually get it. And I actually played Palworld, and we'll have discussions about both of those. Yeah, and we'll find out what the next book club is.
We will. I have an idea, but once we get to, I'm gonna run it by you since this was your topic. I want to pick your brain about the theme, I should say. I want to pick your brain about the theme a little bit.
I mean, it's kind of, look, here's the deal with my themes, because since we started doing themes, I had these list of movies prior to us doing the themes, and so I tried to figure out what they could go align with.
No, I get that.
And like
but most of I want to pick your brain and see what your thoughts are.
Okay. On
like a potential pick for it.
That's fine. That's fine. I'll probably just say yes.
I know, but like it's one, I want to get a second opinion essentially.
Yeah.
But since you picked it, what did you think of Annihilation?
I will admit the movie started a little slow, and I wasn't digging the music for it, like the guitar. Like it gave me a little bit country music vibe music, and so like I kind of got like a little setback, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. But then after it got through, once you finally see Oscar Isaac for the first time, and like it actually gets to the facility, that's when like I was like, oh, this is interesting, this is good, and I really liked it, and I enjoyed it. Like I don't know what the underhanded story is supposed to what it's supposed to if it's supposed to represent anything specific, or it's just supposed to be just a normal story about aliens invading Earth. But it was good, and it had some like cool concepts that like I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, the words, Jesus. I had mentioned when you picked it that I had watched this a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I watched it again though because I remembered like the gist of it, but I didn't really remember the movie all that well.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten just how many like people were in this movie. Like this is basically a prequel to Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, it's weird having actually just read the book too, how just incredibly different it is.
Mm-hmm.
And just like not in the book cut things, or the things were cut out from the book to the movie. They are basically two totally different things.
Yeah. I'm not surprised.
Like in the movie, everyone has names. No one gets a name in the book. Everyone is just referred to by like their job position, like the biologist, the psychologist, like all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There is none of that like flashback stuff to like their marriage, like all those scenes that you had with like Natalie Portman and Oscar Isaac outside of the area.
Yeah.
None of that was there.
Or the shimmer, whatever it is.
The bear attack was not there. Everyone kind of disappears or dies in different ways. It does end up by the end of the book, the only person left is the biologist. In this case, though, the biologist is she's much more like emotionless in the book. Like, and I think it's because the book is written more as her like diary or like medical logs almost. So it's her writing down things that have happened during the time in the area.
Yeah.
But even things like in the movie, they call it the Shimmer, and it's like this secret thing that people don't know about. In the books, it's called Area X, and it's just a known thing. People volunteer to go into it.
Okay.
So, like Oscar Isaac's, the biologist's husband volunteered to go into it, dies before the book even starts, and the book essentially starts with her going into Area X.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends with her still there. Like, she does not leave the area. There's no light tower or lighthouse either. They find an actual like underground tower. But it does not have like a weird mimicking alien thing in it.
Yeah.
So like she finds like a message there though, and then decides to stay in Area X because she believes her husband, her actual husband, is still there somewhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like wildly different, but like both of them really good.
Wildly different, but also like it was modified well enough for movie viewers to give a good conclusion. Like movie viewers going to this movie, never having read the book, would see this movie and be like, "What the hell is this?" Like if it just ended with her still being there. Like at least this time, like you get like a conclusion. You get the fact that like the original Kane was dead, and that was the clone Kane that went to their house and everything like that. So like I understand a lot of the changes, or a good number of the changes. Also, like given you need a little bit of action because like apparently they build this as a horror movie. I didn't see it very horror-esque, but like
so it's like a monster-ish movie. Like when you think about like the alligator attack, the weird bear, all the sort of like tenseness they have whenever they're like investigating different places. There's that scene where they cut open the one guy's stomach and his like intestines are moving. Like it's definitely got that like horror vibe to it, but it doesn't have any jump scares.
Yeah, and that's like it's a genre of horror that like I like to watch because it's not particularly scary, but it does have like those tones that like I can manage and don't mind. But like I think to make this like a true horror movie, they had to add some of that stuff, like the bear attack and like a true ending and the creature at the end and like an actual like resolution to the Shimmer as well.
Yeah. Which so the books are a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
So there are 2 more books after this one. To my understanding, they don't necessarily. It's a trilogy, but they're also like almost separate. Like they're not written the same way. Or like necessarily following the same characters.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you're right. Like the way the book is written would not have really worked as a movie. Like having that clinical, emotionless narration like doesn't translate to a movie at all, unless it's a documentary.
Yeah.
Having characters with no names, with no backstories, with nothing to make the audience connect with them, like isn't going to land in a movie. And Alex Garland, the director, had no intention of this being a trilogy. He made it as a standalone film, so it needed that. It needed at least a conclusion, even if, like, frankly, that conclusion was very much like we could do a sequel if we wanted to.
Yeah, and that's how it ended. Like that's one thing about movies like this that really drive me nuts is like I want more. I want more out of this. I want to know like. Because they, like, kind of hint at it that he's not actually Kane. And, like, well, did we, like, miss something? Is she not actually... I can't remember Natalie Portman's character's name.
Lena.
Like, is she not... Yeah, is she not actually Lena now? Or
so
is she, like...
That's the sort of up in the air question, because at the end, her eyes shimmer the same way his do. And we know that he isn't the real him. So the question is that a clone of her, or did she just change on a biological level the way they were talking about?
And it very much could be either, because we don't know what the clones do or don't know, or do or don't feel. And so maybe the clones have the full memories of their former selves, and she telling the story, she lied and said that the clone died when she actually wanted to die and be with her husband.
Yeah, and there's no way to know. All we know is that the shimmer did come down at the end.
Yeah.
The other thing though is like it doesn't seem like they do retain a whole lot of information when they like copy somebody. Because if you remember, like when Oscar Isaac first showed up, he seemed to not know what was going on. And at the end there, when she says, "Are you the real Kane?" He goes, "I don't think so."
Mm-hmm.
So like he's not even sure if he's
But
real or not.
That could also be the like. I mean, I'm going to lean very hard into My Hero Academia. Twice, his power is to duplicate himself, and the reason he has multiple personalities is because he couldn't remember if he was his original self or not when he cloned himself too many times and they attacked each other. Like it could be something like that. It could be where maybe he got cloned more than once, and at one point he's just like doesn't actually remember what's going on.
Yeah, I mean that stuff like that is definitely possible. I will say in the book, the biologist, she in this tower something happens to her and she basically gets infected with something. That it's kind of alluded, like it's treated in a similar way as the like how they're talking about that they're being changed on a DNA level. Because I don't think they never really go into this in the movie, but in the book they've all had like subliminal messaging implanted in them that the psychologist controls, like basically like key phrases that can make them do or not do certain things. So if they were starting to like say one of them like started attacking the other one, there's like a keyword the psychologist can say that will make them all stop doing things. Or I think they even had one that would make them kill themselves if they thought that like everything was like fucked.
Yeah.
But you find out early on after they find this underground tower thing, whatever infected the biologist, those words are no longer impacting her. And in fact, no one other than the psychologist even knew that those words existed. So when it first happened after she had been infected, she was kind of shocked to find out about that and had to pretend that things were still impacting her. Okay.
Interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, they definitely didn't touch on that. That fucking bear, man.
That was a weird fucking bear.
Because like it was screaming the way the woman it killed was screaming. Like it was talking like her, or had her voice in it.
It was almost like a parrot or like a mockingbird, where it could like do the same sound as another creature after hearing it or something.
Yeah, and that was just like, that was wild. That was so wild. I loved the thing. Like, I was like, this is the coolest creature in any sort of anything ever. It's freaky, but it's so cool, and I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I did think that was cool. And it's funny, the crocodile, alligator, whatever it was, I guess alligator, if it was, because I think they're in the U.S. Like that was weird, but it also just looked like a big alligator with too many teeth. Yeah. There wasn't anything really special about it.
And they did say, like, the further out from the lighthouse, the less things were mutated, the more subtle it was.
Right.
And so, like, they kind of hinted that with, like, the flowers at that shack, and yeah, with the difference between the crocodile or alligator and the bear. Like, the bear was missing half its face, and its skull was actually
on the outside.
The skull was on the outside, but it was more deer-like than it was bear-like.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Like, it was just more narrow.
Or rat-like, maybe.
Yeah, like, I know what you mean. Yeah. Like, it wasn't as kind of, like, filled out as you think of a bear. It's like bears, you think of, like, shorter snouts and more, like, squared. And it was, like, long and angular. Like, almost like a dog, too.
Yeah.
Or a wolf.
I do... The one thing that was throwing me off, and maybe I missed this, maybe I wasn't paying 100% attention when they did it, but everyone had the same tattoo.
Yeah, there was a reason for that.
Did I miss them explain that in the movie?
I can't remember why everyone had the same tattoo. They explained it, though.
I don't know what it was. Like, I was like, but like I for the first hour I watched, straight up was watching, and then the second hour I was working, but mostly watching, really just watching because all my work was done. So like I don't remember them even getting that tattoo.
I'm actually looking real quick.
Annihilation.
Maybe they didn't actually mention it, why they had it, but yeah, they all had it. But yeah, because it was like an 8 or something like that. Yeah, I thought it was mentioned. I must have just in my head, like subconsciously thought about it. Because yeah, no one ever mentions it at all. It's just there, and it's not there the entire movie. Like she doesn't have it before entering the shimmer. That's weird. Which also goes along with like the DNA changing thing.
Yeah. Like I'm reading like a subreddit, and like people are saying that Anya had it before they went into the shimmer. Yeah, no one brought it up. No one brought it up.
I remember watching like seeing it a bunch though, and I think I just assumed they mentioned it, and that I was just forgetting it.
But yeah, Lomax on Anya's arm when she meets Lena and gives Lena the beer. Lena mentions a bruise on her arm in the canoe. Yeah, she didn't. Oh no, you do see it when Lena mentions the bruise. See the tattoo on the arm of the guy whose stomach's being cut open. You see the tattoo, same guy while in the pool, on his arm in the watchtower. Slight shape on Lena's arm as she searches for Shepard's body. More distinct infinity.
It's in all the scenes when she's talking at the end.
Yeah,
because she's wearing like the scrubs and her arm is just there.
Maybe it has something to do with the with the I don't know. Yeah, like that was like the most. I was like, why are there so many people with the same tattoo? And
it's a mystery to everybody.
Ventriloquist bear. I'm on a looper now. I googled it. Lena's Ouroboros tattoo. Let's see what it says. No, don't say anything, phone. The interrogation scene, Lena has a tattoo on her arm is noticeably not there during her time in the shimmer or beforehand. It's a tattoo of Ouroboros, an ancient symbol of a snake eating its own tail that represents the infinity circle of death and rebirth. As a potent symbol, if you watch closely, you can spot the Ouroboros tattoo jump from person to person. It's at first glimpse on the arm of the corpses that the team finds, then seen on Anya's arm, eventually rides Lena's arm all the way to the shimmer. While normally an Ouroboros is drawn in a circle, here it's been twisted as a symbol of infinity as well, driving home the endlessness of biological growth and decay. All the more. I guess maybe it wasn't on Lena before they went there. Somebody remembers seeing a tattoo on not Lena, on Anya before they went in the shimmer, but I guess maybe it wasn't. Who knows?
I didn't remember seeing any of them until after they were in.
Yeah. So that was like, I don't know. It was weird. That was so weird to me.
Yeah, but DNA was changing, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. Poor Tessa Thompson, man. She gets turned into a plant person.
Oh yeah. I'm just like, what? I'm like, all right. She walks in and just like becomes like the flower people.
Yeah, she just starts turning into a plant as she's saying goodbye to Lena. And you can see her like growing plant out of her arm, and I guess that was probably from the bear attack because she was the only one who actually got hurt by the bear. So I think something with the bear started turning her into plants. But also, like, the whole world was kind of this.
Well, I don't think it was the bear. She had just like she basically said she like was giving up, like she just didn't want to fight it anymore.
Yeah, and the whole world, like, it made me think of The Last of Us, because like everything was like cordyceps, like the friggin' mushroom stuff from that from fucking The Last of Us. Thank you.
You're welcome.
He was licking himself, and he just makes so much noise when he's licking himself, and he shouldn't be licking himself.
Yeah, Ben does the same thing.
Yeah,
and it's always like his paw. Like he'll just sit there and lick his paw for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I've pet him at times after he's licking his paw where his entire like front leg is just soaked.
Yeah,
and I'm like, dude, you gotta stop. You gotta stop. Freaking dogs. They're so annoying. They're so dumb. But yeah, I thought this was a really good movie. It was very enjoyable. I'm happy I finally got to watch it because this is a movie that came out forever ago that I was actually supposed to go see with my ex, and we never actually got to go see it. That's how long ago it came out. It was 2017-ish, and I think that's around when I was...
Yeah, like 2017, 2018.
Yeah, and so like that's around when we were supposed to go see it together, and we just never got a chance to.
Yeah, and honestly, this is one of those movies, I don't know that I would have cared to see this in the theater.
No?
No, just like, I don't know. It's just one of those like kind of heavier movies. I'd rather watch it at home where like, can, pause it, get a drink, like that sort of thing.
Well, I'm fine with sitting and watching a movie for 2 hours. It was under. It was just about 2 hours. It wasn't long. So.
Oh yeah, like it doesn't have anything to do with how long it was. It's more just like it was one of those movies where if you miss something, you potentially actually miss a lot.
Yeah.
Because nothing is really spelled out for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I can get that.
But either way, like I liked it the second time. Even like I liked it the first time.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that like the movie actually stands alone really well compared to the book. Because in a lot of cases, like those adaptions, there's always like major complaints, like, oh, well, the book did it better, and they cut all this stuff out, and yeah, they cut a lot of stuff out, but I don't think necessarily either one of them is better because of content they had or didn't have, because they do kind of tell two different stories.
Sometimes stuff just has to be cut for time. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, but it's just sometimes they do that and they do it poorly.
Yeah.
Like they cut things that they shouldn't cut and then just make up other things to add in.
Yeah.
But yeah,
We're
still.
looking at you, Jurassic Park.
What?
I said we're looking at you, Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park's fine.
I know.
Anything else you want to say about the movie, though?
No. It was a good choice. It was a good pick. Whoever picked this movie did a good job. Your
first good pick in 3 years. Good job.
Oh, shut up. It's not my first good pick in 3 years.
So, next book club. So the topic is aliens or extra dimensional, right?
Yes.
So, in your mind, is it like extra dimensional creatures or just extra dimensional? Like it just has to have like multiple dimensions in it.
You could technically argue extra dimensional creatures as in our aliens. The
aliens are like extraterrestrial.
Yeah, but like, aliens are anything not native.
That's fair.
So like, and if it's not native to this dimension, it's a extra dimensional alien. So I yes, like either works.
All right. So what I want to pick is Across the Spider-Verse. It's extra dimensional. They travel between dimensions.
It is. See, I think that's a little. I'll if that's what you want to make your pick, I'll say go. Let's do it. This is a great movie. Is the first one or the second? Oh, the second one.
Yeah, the new one. I haven't seen the new one,
which I've also heard is really good. I also haven't seen it, and they do jump from universe to universe and stuff like that. Yeah, so
this isn't like the first one where it's just like, and even the first one is technically extra dimensional aliens by your theory, because a bunch of people come into Miles's world from a different world.
Yeah, technically it's also extra. But I was going to argue like the first one doesn't quite fit the category. The second one does because it all takes place in our realm and dimension, I guess. So like this one takes place outworld.
Yeah, like they actually go into like a hub world between dimensions at one point.
Yeah, so that works more.
Okay. Yes, and it's on Netflix also.
Yeah.
So no paying required.
That's fine. That's fine. It's a good thing I didn't cancel my Netflix yet.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where like I've wanted to watch it since last summer and just haven't gotten around to it.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have an excuse to.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, in 2 weeks we will watch Across the Spider-Verse.
And Drew, we expect your book report on Annihilation next week.
There's a chance he might have watched it. Oh no, you know what? It wasn't free, so he probably didn't since he knew he wasn't going to be here.
Yeah.
But he expect it next week. He does at least usually watch this stuff even if he's not here.
I know.
Which is more than I would do.
I'm just teasing him.
I was about to ask you how Palworld is, but no, the next thing is Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
Fuck your Pokemon with guns.
Oh, we'll talk about that. Go ahead and to Prince of Persia.
Yeah, so Prince of Persia, the Lost Crown came out last week. I like it. It's fun. I think you would probably have a better time with it than I will.
Oh yeah, everything I've been seeing about it is very Metroidvania-esque and things like that, and I'm so stoked about it. I have not played the demo yet. I know there's a demo available on Epic. One of the main reasons I haven't played it is just because it's only on Epic. Or
and Switch.
Console. Yeah, well, Epic or console. Epic or Switch. And I'm just like, I don't really feel like buying a game on Epic right now.
I actually didn't realize it was Epic. Because it's Ubisoft. So it's on the Ubisoft store, which is even worse.
Well, yeah, but...
Or does Epic and Ubisoft have some sort of deal?
I guess Epic and Ubisoft has some sort of deal because it's on Epic. It's not on Steam, is what it is though. Like,
Yeah.
it's not on Steam.
But yeah, I picked it up for Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And like it plays really well on Switch. It looks good. I am still early enough in it because I only got to play it for a few hours. I haven't unlocked any of like the fun stuff yet. So like I don't have like a double jump or a dash or ranged attacks or any of that stuff. I'm actually trying to I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to be finding the guy with the bow and arrow to learn how to shoot the bow and arrow.
Yeah.
Because there's a thing I have to hit that's out of reach. And after talking with the other person that like showed up at that same spot, they're like, "Oh, we need such and such to be able to hit that because neither of us can do it." Even though I can jump 300 feet in the air and disappear anytime that you actually need help.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's neat. So you are not the Prince of Persia in this one. You are a member of like a band of like elite warriors that are called the Immortals. And the Prince of Persia is kidnapped by somebody that I don't know if they were a member of your group or if they were just like a palace soldier sort of thing, like a general or something. But she's working with somebody else, and they kidnap the prince and take him to this mountain to do some sort of ritual. And your group follows them there, and then immediately splits up.
Mm-hmm.
And the other group has just left a lot of guards and stuff around that you're fighting. As you explore, there's some like weird enemies that pop up from time to time too. And there's something weird going on with like time and space. Like there's shit that's just floating in the background, and the characters make reference to that. Some of the things that you hit to kind of unlock new areas actually seem to be reversing time because it's like rebuilding like broken statues and stuff like that to make the jumping platforms.
Yeah.
Combat is. I am bad at the combat, but the combat is very good. It's the like dash in, parry at the right time, but also be ready to roll away or jump over enemies depending on what sort of attack they're about to do.
You're bad at most combats.
I'm good at some combats.
I don't know a game that's had good combat that you praise. You tend to complain about games that all have bad combat, or you tend to say all games have bad combat. Look, Spider-Man does have great combat.
I know. I say Monster Hunter has bad combat. I say most games have fine combat that I'm just bad at.
You say Legend of Zelda, The Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom has bad combat.
Oh, I mean, the combat's just not fun. Like, it's bad. Like, weapon degradation is bad.
That's not combat.
That's part of combat. When your sword just fucking randomly breaks in the middle of combat, that is bad.
That's not combat, though. Like, but also, again, we've had this argument a million times. I never ran into a situation where my weapon breaking meant that I didn't have any weapons.
I did in Tears of the Kingdom constantly. That's part of the reason why I just stopped fucking playing it.
Well, Tears of the Kingdom, I haven't played Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom is a completely different game where they don't want you to rely on actually using your weapons in that one. They want you to rely on the whole crafting system and things like that.
But, like, you can't craft things to fight just everybody.
You can make fucking robots, dude.
You have to play a lot of that game to be able to make those robots, and even then, it's not easy to do. Like, to get the batteries alone, you have to be able to, like, have weapons to fight creatures in the dark. But I'll talk about that game. I didn't like that game. I like Prince of Persia. It's just one of those where a lot of the enemies have, like, 4 or 5 different attacks that they'll do. The bigger enemies, at least, like the trash enemies are they're fine. And sometimes it's just hard to read what they're doing because they tell you early on if it's very common. If it's a red attack, you can't parry it. You have to just get the fuck out of the way, which is totally fine. Those are telegraphed really well. But there are other attacks that they say when they glow yellow, if you parry it, you'll do like a stun attack basically.
Yeah.
And I parry a lot of fucking things that have yellow glows to them, and nothing happens.
I've read video, or not. I've read videos. I've watched videos. It is a timing thing. It's like it's specific timing when they do that glow to get that special attack.
Well, they didn't explain that real well in the tutorial. They just said parry when this happens, and you'll get like this special like knockback attack or whatever. Because like the parrying really isn't hard to do. The worst thing is like the people that have like the very long windups, like timing those correctly. Because sometimes you just don't realize how long it's going to take an enemy to actually wind up their attack.
Yeah.
And a few of them, they'll do attacks where they come at you and you think it's their like charge attack. And then so you go to jump over them because there's no place for you to roll. And it turns out they're actually doing their thrust forward and then slash above them attack. And because you don't have a double jump or anything to start, there's no way to get by that. You take the hit and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
The game does it has that classic like Metroidvania, like there are save rooms and the save rooms also heal you, but every time you leave a room the enemies respawn, so you can't really rely on like taking down a stronger enemy, running back to the save room, healing, and then going back through. You just have to like soldier on and hope that you find another save room like shortly after. Because you get one potion to start. Like you can only carry one potion. They refill at the save spots. And you do get a currency that you can use to buy upgrades to potions that will give you more health with the potions, and that will let you carry more of them. But it's at least early on, it's a lot of that currency to get that, and I just haven't even gotten to that much currency yet.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else is kind of going on where I'm at so far. The platforming is actually pretty good. Few things don't feel great. Like if you're like doing wall jumps and stuff like that is really nice, like just like the normal platforming. But there are some sections where there's little like handholds on the walls that you're supposed to use to like jump like vertically. And I don't know about you, but I kind of just habitually like hold up and stuff like that on those things. Because I feel like if you're not holding up, you're not necessarily going to go up. You might just let go of things because every game tends to handle those things slightly differently.
Yeah.
This game just doesn't always recognize that I'm pushing up. Sometimes like maybe it's skewed just a little bit to the left. Not enough to actually be left, but just not quite directly up. And he'll just jump horizontally away from the wall instead of going vertically.
Can you not use the D-pad in this game?
No, because the D-pad does other things.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Usually side scrollers allow movement for both D-pad and control stick, and I have a tendency of using the D-pad for side scrollers.
I don't like the D-pad on the Switch, so I wouldn't have even thought to do that. But the D-pad, you might be able to configure it to do other stuff depending on I don't know how many buttons you actually need for the game so far because I don't have to use all of them yet. But right now I want to say it's like up on the D-pad is use a potion, and down lets you do it's not a screen capture in the sense of like saving it to the Switch, but it does like a little screen capture of the area you're at and then tags it on the map for you.
Yeah.
So if you're in a room and you find something that you can't get to yet that obviously you'll be able to get to later, you're supposed to do that so that you can then look at the map and like hover over it and see what that room was and be like, oh, I can go back there and hop up to that chest right now or something.
Which I like that because there's a lot of times in Metroidvania style games where it's like, oh, this room hasn't been cleared. What is it? And then you run back and it's like, oh, I can't do that yet because I don't have the ability. And I just spent the last 20 minutes getting back here and now I have to just leave.
Exactly.
So I like that feature. I heard about that feature for that game and I'm just like, this is a good feature for this style of game.
Yeah, I actually think it's actually really cool because like even in like Metroid Dread, which it feels a lot like Metroid Dread over some of the other Metroidvanias I've kind of like touched a little bit. Mm-hmm. I also think it has a bit of a Dead Cells vibe, which I told Drew I'm like the combat and stuff reminds me a little bit more of Dead Cells than like Metroid, mostly especially because it's like melee weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like in Metroid Dread, for instance, there are a few power-ups that they're just obnoxious to get even after you have the ability to get them. Like some of those ones where you're supposed to use the dash spark thing to like a shine spark, that's what it's called, to like charge it up and then jump and then hit it, but then also turn into a ball to like get underneath the thing after you destroy the blocks. Like that is just so obnoxious for 5 more missiles that I don't want to run back to a room that's just showing that there's still something there and find out that's what it is. Because like you said, like some of these games, it's not quick to get back to these places. Being able to look at the map and be like, okay, well, what was that? Oh, I'm not even going to fucking bother. Like, that is going to take so long to actually accomplish. It's not worth it. And then just move on.
Yeah.
I have hit an area in the game where I'm a little too far away from the closest save spot that I can get to right now. So dying is actually a huge fucking hindrance. And the area has hidden enemies. They're like these rat creatures that cling to like ceilings and stuff like that, but you can't see them. So occasionally they just fall down and they start spitting acid at you that poisons you. So not only are they spitting at you so they can hit you from a distance, they're also just slowly chipping your health down. And that whole area was just a nightmare. And I'm pretty sure it's the area I have to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't be bad because you can't parry the fucking spit. Like, it's fucking acid spit.
Yeah.
Or at least if you can, the parry window is so fucking small, I will never hit it.
Most likely you'll get an ability later on in the game that allows you to parry or block a ranged attack like that.
Well, so you can block arrows early on. Like, I block those all the time. Mm-hmm. But this, because it's like a poison liquid, I guess you can't. But it's one of those. So you have these rat creatures, you have these weird bees that spawn out of nests that it takes quite a while to take the nest down, and they're always on the ceiling, so you can't get too many hits in at one time. Mm-hmm. And then there's also waterfalls of like acid raining from the sky. So like this whole area is just, this should not be the second area of the game. Like, this should be like the fourth area of the game after you have at least one power up.
You might be there too early.
I might be, but looking at the map, there's nowhere else I can go. And they don't tell you where to go to find the guy.
There's always somewhere else to go.
Like, there might be. I've retraced all the zones I can go through a couple times looking for stuff. Mm-hmm. And everything. So the map, it's a really good map. I'll give them that. If you get to like doorways that aren't open, it actually shows you like what side they would open from.
Yeah.
So there's like a little arrow, like swoopy arrow. So you're like, oh, okay, so both of these doors open into these rooms. So I have to get to them from the other side to be able to open them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like it does a lot of good stuff. I'm trying to think of the right word for it. Like, quality of life, I guess would be the best word. Like, it makes it so that a person who's not used to these games at least has like a fighting chance to like not just be completely frustrated and give up right away.
Yeah.
Because like Metroid games, like if you're not used to them, you're going to quit because like once you get stuck and can't figure out where to go, because they don't really hold your hand.
Yeah, which I'm good. I don't mind. I don't mind if a game doesn't hold your hand. It holds your hand by giving you a map. All right, that's all you need. That's all you need.
Yeah. Sometimes, like we are just saying, like the Metroid maps, like they don't really specify anything on them. They're really just a bunch of squares. Yeah. So it's like sometimes you have to just go back to all of them until you can find one that like, oh, here's like a little gap that I didn't notice before.
Yeah. But like it's all squares, but it'll be like here's a map and this color means that it's cleared, this color means that it isn't. And so it's like, all right, well, at least you know you only have to go to the ones that aren't cleared to figure it out. And that's usually how a lot of Metroidvania maps are. It'll be like this room's cleared, so you don't have to come back here. But these rooms aren't, so go to there.
Yeah, so these ones aren't colored or anything like that, because it's not like a grid map the way Metroid usually is. Mm-hmm. But it does just have other useful stuff, and because you can do those little pictures of things as you're playing, it helps because you're marking that stuff on your own. Yeah, I do wish they told you that a little bit earlier, because you do you pass through some rooms before they tell you that, and I feel like there were some things that I definitely would have marked like that had I known it at the start.
Yeah.
Which that's tutorials. Like they misplaced that tutorial. It happens. Mm-hmm. But yeah, otherwise I'm having a good time with it. I'm definitely going to keep playing more. I don't know that I'll play the whole thing because I just feel like at some point this is one of those games where 5-10 hours I'll probably feel like I've gotten my play out of it, even if I haven't made a lot of progress in it.
I don't get you. I don't get you. How would you not feel compelled to beat the game? Like, I don't get it. I
don't know. Like, once I stop having fun, though, I'm not compelled to keep playing. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like,
I've never. I mean, this isn't 100% true, but this isn't 100% false. I've never gotten to a point where I wasn't having fun with a game. We've gotten to points where games have frustrated me. I've gotten to points where like I was ready for it to be over, but when it comes to playing the game, I've never gotten to a point where I'm not having fun while playing the game, that I just want it to be over. Where I stop playing.
I guess it's more like, it's not so much I'm not having fun while playing it, but like if I'm not looking forward to playing it, I'm just not going to. Like I'm going to find something else to do.
But if you haven't beaten it, man, what if you get to what if you just haven't gotten to the point where it's like, oh, now this gets like amazing.
But if I play 10 hours of a game that's 20 hours long, I've played half of it. If it hasn't gripped me at that point, like I'm not going to keep dumping time into it. As long as I feel like I've gotten my money's worth of it, I'm happy.
I don't get it. I don't get you. I don't get it.
I don't get you. Like, you force yourself to finish games even when you're not having a great time with them.
But again, like, it's never been... like, we'll put Baldur's Gate for an example. I've had some frustrating sessions playing Baldur's Gate. And there are some times that game absolutely frustrates me with some of the dice rolls and some of the stupid bullshit that I encounter. It's not that I'm not having fun, it's just that that scenario was dumb, and the kind of gamer I am, I don't like take advantage of certain I don't save scum. I don't sit there and save every 30 seconds. Like I'm not somebody to do that. If Baldur's Gate had a better autosave feature, oh man, it would be more deserving of Game of the Year. But because Baldur's Gate has such a bad autosave feature, it really it knocks it down a few pegs, because like it's modern day gaming. Why am I not autosaving when I use fast travel? Like, I'm traveling from one side of the map to the other. Why aren't you saving for me? Like, I mean, what's going on?
That is a valid complaint. But like I'm not a completionist either. Like, I don't need to do everything 100% to have a good time with it.
But you're not beating the game. I'm not saying you have to 100% it. I'm just saying you haven't beaten the game. How do you stop 10 hours in and not beat the game? Like, that's my thing. Like, how do you not beat the game?
So like the same reason why I don't play From Software games. I'm not playing a game to be frustrated. If I'm getting frustrated at a game, it means I'm not having fun with it.
I don't know. I mean, look, I get that, but at the same time, like there's between From Software and say Monster Hunter, where it's like, oh man, you like, for me, I get that sense of accomplishment when I do complete that scenario that I haven't been able to do. But I feel like, oh, I have to do this now because it keeps besting me. I have to do this. But when it comes to like, because it also makes me feel like I got better. It's the other thing. Like, I can't get good at many other things in this world. I can't get good at things. I can't get good at jogging. I have fucked up 70-year-old ankles. I can't get good at stuff, but I can get good at a video game. That's why I don't play a lot. I've stopped playing as much like PvP stuff, because like I can't get that good. But I can get good at PvE stuff. I can get good at things that are hard. I can keep practicing and reading stuff. But like this is different, because like you're the thought that like, and I know this is all hypothetical, you might not get bored in 10 hours, but the thought that 10 hours in, you're halfway through the game and you're just like, all right, well, I'm done. That is just that blows my mind, because like I see it as 10 hours in, I'm like, well, I got to beat it now, because I've put 10 hours into this game. I got to beat this game. I got to finish it.
Yeah, like I don't get that sense of accomplishment. Like, yeah, sure, like it's cool, like when you do the thing that was really hard to do, but if I'm just getting frustrated at it and not enjoying doing that, I'm not going to waste my time and keep doing it over and over again until I finally do it.
I'm not talking frustration, Cobb. I'm talking just you sitting here saying, I'll probably play it for 10 hours and then stop. Like, that's where my mind is blown.
That's based off of the fact that I'm dying a lot. Eventually, I'm going to get to a point where that's just frustrating and I'm not having fun with it anymore.
So even like within the first 2 hours, you're dying a lot in this game?
Yeah.
And you gotta just get good.
Well, so it's a lot of like, I'm just taking chances. Like I'm like trying things out, and a lot of the deaths are my own fault. So like, it's not frustrating me, but like I can see this combat and some of like the boss fights are going to be challenging. And if it gets to a point where like you have to do some stupid shit, like in Souls games, I'm not going to want to keep playing that. So like I will just be like, all right, I've got my fill of this game. Like I'm going to play something else that isn't frustrating because I'm playing games to have fun. I'm not playing games to get good or to prove anything. That's the reason why I don't like playing multiplayer games.
Doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, everyone plays for different reasons.
You play for the wrong reason.
And it's like so you get that sense of accomplishment from like beating bosses. I get that playing like platformers. Like I will sit there on like a challenging platform like a Celeste or Super Meat Boy, and even if I don't play them consistently, I'll keep going back to them and playing those levels over and over and over again until I do get through them. Unless I get to one where like I literally just don't have the like the reflexes to be able to pull off certain things. Like Celeste's seaside levels. I don't have the reflexes to do the shit in those levels because they're basically like the Super Mario Kaizo stuff. Like the amount of like weird just manipulation shit you have to do to pull off some of the jumps. Someone would have to actually sit down and teach me, and even then I don't know that I could actually do it. But when it's like the standard ones that are just super difficult, I'll spend hours trying to figure those out until I get them. But if it's like dying against a boss and then having to go redo that whole fight again, nah, I'm good. I'd rather just play something else.
But then you finally beat the boss.
And then there's just like, another boss.
And you're like, I did it. And oh my God, I did it. And I got good.
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that feeling at all. There's no real accomplishment for beating bosses for me.
That's weird.
Like it's cool at the moment, but then like there's just another boss that comes after that.
Yeah, but I mean that's life. There's always another boss.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. But yeah, like again, like that's half the reason why I don't enjoy games like the From Software games, just because those games are just basically boss rushes, right? Like
no, I mean not
stuff
no.
There is stuff in between, but like what everyone like talks about in those games are the bosses. No one talks about like the stuff in between them.
I mean, I'd say yes for instance, for Elden Ring, that's really all people talked about were the bosses. But also Elden Ring had this huge empty world, which was really the biggest bummer. Like Elden Ring's world was huge, and there were a lot of bosses in that game, but between bosses there was nothing. Whereas like in any of the other Souls games, there are situations. It's like because it's level based. It's like you go from one level to the next, from one area to the next, and it's like it's like you talk about Bloodborne and just the very beginning of the game, the what's it called, the bonfire, and it's like that is like a tough scenario, and a lot of people get stuck in just that beginning portion of the game at the bonfire because you don't actually unlock the ability to level up until you get to the first boss. So you have to go through all of that, even dying a bunch of times. But like everyone remembers the bonfire. Like I remember the bonfire. I remember some of the other game more so than I remember like the actual bosses. But
it's funny because like when I hear people talk about like Bloodborne on like podcasts and stuff, they don't talk about the bonfire section. They talk about bosses.
It's also been a long time since I played Bloodborne, so I don't remember a lot of it.
But yeah, like I remember that bonfire. I tried Bloodborne. I think I got up to that bonfire like 5 or 6 times. Made no progress. I'm like, cool, this isn't much like most of these games. This isn't for me. And
yeah,
and I tried Dark Souls 3. I'm just like, I wonder if this one's any different. And that game, literally the first thing you do is fight a boss. And I think I tried it maybe 10 times. I got it to the second form once, but was almost dead when I got it to the second form. And I'm just like, all right, yeah, these just aren't for me. And I kind of stopped there.
You just gotta get good.
It's one of those things where like we were just saying, I don't have like a sense of accomplishment when I do beat them. So I don't have that drive to keep doing it. I just find it boring after like 3 or 4 tries. Like I don't enjoy doing the same thing over and over.
But you like speedrunning.
I like watching speedrunning.
You've attempted speedrunning for Super Mario World.
Yeah, but I just love Super Mario World. So anything that makes that game a little bit different, I'm going to do. Because again, I like platformers. I don't like these games where like you just have to redo the same thing over and over to get to the next thing. I know in Mario World, I can play it 6 different ways and always progress. I'm never going to get stuck on a Mario level.
But every time you play it, you're doing the same thing as you did last time.
No, I usually do weird stuff.
But like you're still playing one of 6 ways. It's over and over again, the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm changing it up each time. It's not the literal same boss fight every single time. Sometimes I fight the first boss. Sometimes I don't.
It's not always the literal same boss fight every time. Sometimes they decide to wait until you're halfway into their their health bar to use an ultimate move. Sometimes they do it right off the bat. Sometimes they decide to do a move they haven't done to you for the first 25 times, and then they do it to you, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And then they always do it to you after that, and that's a move you don't know how to beat. It's not always the same thing.
I don't know. I get no actual sense of accomplishment from those games. All I get is frustrated and don't want to play them.
Man, just get good.
I don't want to.
Oh, you don't. I'm not telling you to want to. I'm just telling you should.
Like, it's funny. Like, I don't mind having to redo bosses in like RPGs and stuff like that, like tactics games or like turn-based stuff. Because it's like, okay, I fucked up. Like, I made a mistake somewhere. Either I skipped a bunch of stuff and I'm under leveled for this fight, or there's just like I missed something. Like there's an attack that they're weak to. Like there's something that I just have to go back, redo the fight, rethink it, and figure it out. With games where it's like just giant monsters that you just have to slowly fight over and over again until you catch a break. Like I just have no fun with that. I don't want a 2-hour boss fight. I will say, just speedrunning, I just thought this one was stupid and funny. There's an Elden Ring speedrun that's the world record is 2 minutes. It's not one that you would enjoy, but it's they basically just, there's some sort of weird bug where if you move a certain way on literally on a breath frame, cause if you're standing still, you can see your character kind of breathing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So if you position yourself right and move right on the right frame of a breath, you do this like catapult of your character like across the world.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them will just literally zip you across the room. But if you do a certain type of one that involves 2 movements, it literally throws you to the other side of the map and way into the sky. So what ends up happening is it does that, and then it'll despawn the boss that you're fighting.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so I literally, it actually took the guy 20 minutes, but it's because it's one of those ones where it's not consistent to get it. So like the world record is literally just somebody doing it over and over again until they literally hit every one of these perfectly to get the 2 minute and some odd seconds.
Yeah.
But like I forget. So there's a boss that looks like a giant anime monster with like long hair, and it's like a giant wolf looking thing. I don't remember what it was called. It had 2 phases. I know most of them do, so that doesn't help. But it was basically like they get there by doing this one zoom, and it spawns the boss for the first phase. They zoom away from it, and it actually despawns the room, so the boss just falls to its death because there's nothing below it anymore. So it literally just falls off the map. Because it's fallen off the map, though, it can't resurrect for its second form. So they actually have to do the little zip thing again to right outside of the boss's door to walk through the mist. And then you walk through the mist, it triggers the cutscene for phase 2. And then they have if they're lucky, 8 seconds before the boss attacks them to do another zip that keeps them in the room, but puts them on a ledge just out of reach. And then once they're there, they kind of have as much time as they need to do one more of these super zips that despawns the arena the boss is in and kills it.
That's dumb. And it's probably Malekith, I think. One of the last few bosses.
That sounds right, I think.
Was it in a big coliseum?
Yeah, there were big pillars and stuff like that, and there was like a gap kind of around the edge of it.
Yeah, it's the second or third to last boss. His name is Malekith.
Yeah, it was just one of those. It's that's really dumb. It's incredible that somebody figured this out.
Yeah,
but because it's not just they can just do it anywhere and have it happen. They have to position themselves just right so that when they get flung in the right direction onto the right thing. Otherwise, when they have to do it to get outside the boss room, if they're not positioned right, they're not going to end up outside the door. They're just going to waste time having to get back there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was so stupid. But also, it was just that's incredible. That's incredible that you figured that out. And the guy, because he had nothing, there were no upgrades. He had basically no health. If the boss basically breathed on him, it was a 1-hit kill.
Yep.
So he's I can't fight him. I could try it. It would take 3 hours to beat him. I've beaten him with very little resources before. It's possible, but that's not a speed run.
Yeah.
So every time the boss, every time he didn't get it right, he would try and kite the boss away and then run back over and try and hit it again. But the boss kept doing a run instead of a slow walk, and he's like, there's like a 50-50 chance that he'll slow walk back to me.
Mhm.
And he's like, every try, he has run back at me.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, that sucks.
That's stupid. It's
Yeah.
stupid.
It's just like, it's one of those like, man, to like have sat there for that long with that game and figured that out, that's incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredible that you guys like figured out that if you hit something just right while your character is breathing, it zips you away.
Mhm.
And like it's so exact they use a metronome. So
That's
like
ridiculous.
every time he's getting set up for it, he turns a metronome on. So he has the like click, 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 click to time it too.
I hate it. Just play
great.
the game. Just play the game.
They have. That's the thing.
Well, then play something new. Play
They
something
probably
else.
do.
There's a million games out there. Play something else.
Then why are you getting mad at me for being done with the game after 10 hours?
Because they beat
There's a
the
million
game, so
games.
play something else.
See,
You didn't beat the game. That's the thing.
They're spending the extra time that I'm not.
I'm not getting mad at you for only playing a game for 10 hours. I'm getting mad at you for not beating the game. That's what I'm getting mad at you.
You don't have to beat a game.
Yeah, you do.
You don't. You games are meant to be fun. If you're not having fun, move on.
What's the story? Like, there's a story there. You gotta conclude the story.
I can just Google it.
That's cheating.
Is it?
It is. Come on now.
I mean, to be fair, normally if I like drop a game, I don't actually Google the story either, because usually if I drop it, I'm like, you know what? This I was disinterested enough that like I didn't even want to see the story through. Because some games will do that sometimes. Like the story will be enough where I'm like, I really like the story of this. Like I do want to see what's going on. Like honestly, like The Last of Us kind of gets that way because those games just kind of drag on for a little too long, especially the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Had like that story not been compelling, I don't know that I would have kept doing it because it did get kind of samey at a certain point.
Yeah.
But like the story was really good, so I'm like, no, I'm going to keep playing and see how the story like wraps up.
Mm-hmm.
If it had not been a good story, I've been like, okay, I've killed enough things with plants growing out of their skulls. Like I get the idea of the game. We're good.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk about Pokemon with guns?
Sure. Quick correction here, everyone. So Palworld. The early access release was last week, and it's just going to be in early access for a long time. It's definitely they call it a beta. I think it's still alpha. Like I thought
it was early access. Are they calling it beta?
Well, it's early access, but it's the beta version. Like, but I don't think it's beta. I think it's alpha. Like, I think it's still an alpha state, and we'll get to that in a second. But I think, and I tweeted this earlier, I think we should stop comparing this to Pokemon with guns, because although in a sense you are correct, it is a broad open world game where you're catching things in Pokeball-esque things and throwing them out there and fighting other creatures and catching more, and you can have guns. It's actually more Arc with Pokemon. So Arc Survival Evolved, or what's the remaster called?
I never played any of those. I have no idea.
I
know the game you're talking about.
The remaster recently just came out, but the Arc games is an open world survival game crafting where instead of where you're taming dinosaurs, and you can eventually craft guns, and some of the dinosaurs you can actually equip like a turret onto them and stuff like that. So this game 100% is Arc, but instead of dinosaurs, it's Pokemon. That's what this game is. There is no actual like running storyline at the moment. Who knows if there's going to be one? There are boss towers like in Arc where you go and you challenge a boss and you fight the boss and you get a reward for challenging that boss. The only difference is in Arc you have to go get certain artifacts to be able to challenge that boss. This you just get to the tower and you challenge the boss.
Eventually you'll need badges.
Maybe you'll get badges. I like, but who knows? The game as a whole needs some work. I'm not going to say a lot of work, but it needs some work. It is enjoyable. If you are into the survival crafting style games like these, this is up your alley. But it needs some work because it's very grindy, just like Arc. You need a lot of materials to be able to do certain crafting. Your weight carry capacity is obnoxiously low, so that's where actually Arc achieves better. because your dinos that you have following you can give them the things that you're carrying, and so that this way they can carry stuff for you and you're not limited. Whereas in this game, it's only you carrying shit. So if you need stone or wood or whatever, you need to be able to have the carry capacity to carry all that. However, there are ways for your pals to be able to always be making stone and wood in your base when you're not there. So that should like balance it out a little bit. The entire progression with level ups is you get a level up, you get X amount of tech points. You can allocate those tech points based on what level you are. So if you're at level 5, you have 5 levels worth of tech points that you can put into, and each level has like 1 to 10 things that you can put tech points into. Or like some of the things cost 2 tech points, some of the things only cost 1. And so you can allocate what things you want to build and what things you want to focus on. It's base building 101. You place a base, you start building it. The cool thing in this game, you can actually upgrade your base by doing little different objectives. So what it is you place your PAL box. So instead of it being like your PC, it's the PAL box. That's where you load up all your pals, or if you catch too many pals while you're out, because you can only have 6, they all go into there afterwards. And you go and you do little objectives there, and it lets you continue to upgrade your base. Eventually, I'm at a point where I can now craft a second base, like craft a second PAL box and place it somewhere else on the map.
Oh.
Yeah. So like, if you like those style games, this is definitely a game you're going to like. I spent hours in it. I was expecting to jump into it for like 2 to 3 hours. I ended up being on for about 5 or 6. And most of that time was crafting and building, because that's where that's my rabbit hole when I play these games. I can spend hours and hours and hours just building and setting up my base and then rebuilding my base because this didn't work or that didn't work. For instance, I built a base where the food for the pals, so you have to make sure you got consistent food for your pals, and so you place a pal food bowl on the floor somewhere, and they'll go grab food, but you actually have to load it up with food. So I, for instance, have a farm. You can set up farms where you will have pals that'll plant seeds, you'll have pals that'll water the seeds, you have pals that will harvest the seeds, and then you have pals that will grab the seeds and load them into the food box. So it's all automated, and I'm at this point, I have pals that are automated and do all that. So they were loading up the food, but I had a pal that was not eating, and actually, as of the time I ended, was depressed because of neglect, because it wasn't eating, because it was hungry. And I'm like, but there's a food bowl, why aren't you eating? Well, it turns out because it's a giant deer thing with giant antlers, it couldn't actually get to the food thing because it was too tall. So I had to move the food bowl outside. I moved the food bowl. It finally started eating. It's still depressed due to neglect, but
wow. So you're a bad Pokemon trainer.
I am a bad trainer. I'm a bad trainer, but I didn't. Had I realized like that's why I wasn't eating, then it would have been different. So I don't have the crafting, the supplies needed to be able to craft the potion that'll heal his depression. So just kind of gotta like pet him and make him happy and whatnot. But I could just craft a butcher's knife and butcher him and go catch another one, and it'll be fine. Yes, you can butcher your pals in this game for like meat or whatever others, like meat or wool or this or that. You could just do that. Like, all right, I've had enough of this one, or I have too many pals, let me butcher a bunch of them. Because the more you catch, the more of a bonus experience gain that you get when you fight them or combat them. So like if you catch 10 of a certain type, you get like 1.5 times experience every time you fight one then. But yeah, it's a cool game. It's fun. I had a good time on it. Again, there's a lot of work that they need to put into this. First and foremost, and this isn't the most important, but this is something that I would really like them to do. They need to make the character creation better. Just because all of the feminine faces were happy, and all of the masculine faces were angry and old. And so I'm running around with this person whose body looks like a young adult teenager with this grumpy old man face. And I'm like, I don't like that. Also, the beard is attached to the face. So the only way to have a bearded character is to have the grumpy old man face. I think. I can't 100% remember.
Don't have a beard.
But then the character looks dumb. Like, I'm just 100%, the character looks dumb. You need a beard.
Use the girl face.
But I don't want to use the feminine face, because that's just, I don't like those features on my characters' body types. Like, it doesn't fit. Like, it's so weird. It's
Look,
so
man,
weird.
I'm giving you solutions, and all you're coming up with is more excuses.
No, but I like their personal like gripes. Like, I don't like how it looks, and it's just, but like they need to at least make not angry masculine faces and not old person masculine faces.
All boys are angry and old. All girls are young and happy. That's just the way the world works.
Pretty much. You can't name your character, which also feeds into the thought that this is an alpha release, and is your save is going to be wiped periodically while they update it.
You know what? They might not wipe it, but you're probably right. It probably is like earlier in development than they necessarily want to say, but this is the best way to basically like stress test things. Yeah. Like you're basically getting that. Excuse me. I think I saw online earlier. They've already sold over 7 million copies.
How many of those copies are sold and how many of those copies are Game Pass? But
it was 7 million on Steam.
Okay. So that's a thing. That's another gripe. There's no crossplay. So if you have it on Game Pass, you can't play with people on Steam. If you have it on Steam, you can't play with people on Game Pass. But if you have it on Game Pass, you can play with people who have it on Xbox Game Pass. Apparently, I haven't tried this yet. If you're playing on Game Pass PC, there's no controller support. But if you're playing on Steam, there is controller support. I don't know about that one. That's just something somebody said to me the other day. So I'd have to try it out, because I played on mouse and keys. But personally, I think, like most crafting survival games, the combat itself will be good on a controller, but the combat will be good on a controller. The crafting will be good on mouse and keys. And that's probably how I'm going to play this if I play this again, play it in the future. So the fact that you can't name your character is kind of bullshit, because I had a viewer come in and I didn't know who, I knew who they were because like they were on Discord with me and we were talking, and I added him into my guild. It's not a party, it's a guild. And so we were chatting while playing, but like all it said was like player 184, and I was like player 136 or something like that. I don't remember. And that's all it is. Like, you don't name your character, which is kind of dumb. Like, at least to link it to my gamer tag or something like that. If I'm playing on Game Pass, link it to my gamer tag.
You know what? They probably don't do that because Steam names are weird and your display name isn't necessarily your
But since
your
there's
actual name.
Since there's no crossplay, like most games just let you name your character. If it like
I agree. I'm just saying the reason they probably don't pull automatically is because they'd have to, it's extra programming. They'd have to program, okay, well, if it's the Xbox version, we want you to do this, but if it's the Steam version, it just has to be this. So for them to just be like, all right, well, everyone's just gonna be player and 3 random numbers. That'll keep it.
At least until they get it to a point where like they're not going to be wiping the game, and it's like, all right, now you guys won't have to worry about wiping the game. You can actually name your characters and whatnot. This is just feeding my thought that this is maybe an alpha test or just a pre-beta, not necessarily alpha, but like very late alpha, but pre-beta release. And it's like they're not sure. There's going to be times where the game's going to be wiped, or the saves are going to be wiped, or there's going to be major overhauls where it's going to wipe your characters. Because there's a lot of early access games like that do that still. Like, I mean, 7 Days to Die, every time a new alpha comes out, you cannot play an old alpha character. You cannot play an old alpha save. So if you've been playing, obviously you haven't been playing since Alpha 1, because they probably didn't have it released in Alpha 1, but like since Alpha 12 to Alpha 21, that's at minimum 10 different saves. It's definitely more than that, because you're going to restart multiple times, and like you're not always going to be playing the same game. So there's that. The map is a standard map across everyone's game, which is fine. I like that. That's how Arc does it, but they release multiple kinds of map. They release a new map every couple of years or something like that. So like that works. That's fine. I'm not complaining about that. The pals are cool. The pals are interesting. I'm not going to complain about whether or not these look exactly like Pokemon or not. I don't care. I really don't.
Well, did you
It's
see that they already somebody on PC already modded
somebody
it?
somebody modded it to be Pokemon, and Nintendo has already DMCA'd them.
But like not just like modded it to be Pokemon, like they made the player character Ash. They
Yeah.
made other characters like Brock and Misty. I saw a little video clip where some of the little creatures were like mining, like they had little pickaxes, and they were all
Mhm.
it was just a group of Pikachus.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Yeah,
I
it's
loved it.
great. It's great. But then the other thing is server control. What I mean is if I were to load up the game in multiplayer. So if you're playing, you can play in either multiplayer or single player with your character, but like if I load up a multiplayer character and you join me, you can only play that character in my world. You can't play that character in your world. So if you're gonna play, you're gonna have your own character in your own world, and maybe I can join them. Like, if I were to join you, I would have to create a character for that world. But the problem with that is, and it's not a big problem. This is more of a once in a while issue, since it is private server based or private game based. You get a code for your world, and you tell your friends, "Here's the code. Come on and join it." There's only a maximum of like 4 players per world, I think, something like that. It's like 4 to 16. I can't totally remember. But because there's only so few characters that can be played, there's not really a lot of control with who's in your world and whether or not you know if someone's in your world. It doesn't give you a notification, hey, player 135 joined your world, or hey, you got a new player into your world. So I was playing live on stream, and I posted my game code so that people could join me. And people that I know in real life, one who's on this Discord, or on this podcast, that's not UCOB, a bunch of people came to my stream from a different Discord that I'm in, or that I was in, and somebody decided it'd be a good idea to jump into the game and troll me the entire time. Jump in front of me, get in my way.
It's funny, but also fucked.
It's fucked. It's not funny. Like, it sounds funny to be the third person, but it's not. When it comes to these games, I take building and crafting like not serious to where like it's not serious, but it can sometimes be frustrating to get it the way you want it to be. And so then when you have somebody jumping in front of you and getting in your way and you're not able to place stuff, like, or them just sitting there punching you while you're like trying to knock down a tree to get some wood, and then when you knock the tree down, they end up collecting some of the wood that you were trying to get because they're standing there. Like, it's frustrating. It's just absolutely frustrating. And because I didn't know who it was, because it was player 176, and like I'm asking the chat, like, hey, who's this? Who's this? Who's this? And like no one's responding to it. They then eventually like asked to quote join my guild, which is the party. Which apparently your guild can have up to like 30 people, but there can only be like 4 people live on a server at a time, so it doesn't make sense. And this is where again the whole server and party control needs work. I can't remove anyone from my guild without just making a new game. So I can't go in and see how many people are actually a part of my guild. So when they asked to be in my guild, I said no because I didn't know who they were. Somebody in chat was like, oh yeah, that's me. So then they ask, and I add them. And then they proceed to destroy everything I was building.
Okay, that part's actually messed up. Like, just
Yeah.
kind of like jumping in your way, picking stuff up, like...
That's frustrating. But then, like, I was working on building a house because I placed my base at the edge of a cliff, and it gives you a range that like your pals that are in your base can reach. But where I placed my base, my pals couldn't actually get to certain spots because like they couldn't safely get down or get up. So I decided to build like a 3-floor just set of stairs so that my pals could like go down the stairs and work on stuff down below. I'm sitting there fixing my base or doing something with my base after they had punched a couple of walls, and then like rebuilding something or replacing something that I had just been able to build. And I look back and I hear the crumbling, and like 10 walls were just taken down of the 3-floor thing that I just spent a half hour putting together. And so I had to freak out on stream and be like, get the fuck out of my game. I swear to God, this is bullshit. You shouldn't be here if you're going to just do this. Like, I hated it. I hated the fact that they did this. You know who you are. And it's absolutely frustrating. So, like, if they had, like, server control, I would have been able to just
boot them
from the game or unalign them with my guild. And this way, like, they could still be in the game, but they can't destroy things if they're not in the guild. But because I couldn't do that, because I couldn't even see who's in my guild, like, literally, the guild menu is just guild 3 of 30. And that's it. You can't name your guild or anything else.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of work to still do on that.
I'm not even done with the things they need to fix. There's one more major thing they need to fix. There's no exit button in the main menu.
Really?
Yes. There is 0 exit button in the main menu. I had to Alt F4 my ass out of that game. Like, I can go into the menu and leave the world, leave the save. This way, if I wanted to join somebody else or jump into somebody else's game or whatever. But I feel like this game was built for console, whereas in consoles you can just hold the whatever menu button. So like Xbox controllers, you'd hold the Xbox button, and you would just tell the game to shut down. There's none of that on PC, or at least there wasn't on day one. I shared a picture of it on my Discord in the gamer chat. Like, there's no leave world button.
That is super dumb.
Yeah, how do you miss that? But yeah, so it's just, the game has its flaws. It has its issues that needs to be fixed. I do want to dive deeper into this game. I do want to try it more. However, today, a game that I was looking forward to more just came out called Enshrouded that I'm probably going to get this weekend and play more of instead. So, like, I'm kind of done with Palworld. Not because it's a bad game.
It's just it needs to become more of a game first.
Not even that. There was another game I was more anticipating that came out. It's called Enshrouded. I just said the name.
I missed that entirely.
Yeah. Enshrouded. It just came out today. It's in early access as well. That I watched Glock9, he's a YouTuber, play today. His video for today was him playing Enshrouded, and it's actually has kind of like a story to it as well. And it's not just go and survive, it's go out, craft, build, and survive. But the survival isn't in the sense of like, you need to eat, otherwise you're going to lose health. You need to drink, otherwise you're going to lose stamina. It's more with how Valheim does it. So in Valheim, if you eat and drink, it actually increases your base stamina bar, or increases your health bar. And so, like, you can have up to 3 food combinations eaten, and it'll bring up your health to a certain point and your stamina to a certain point. That's how Enshrouded does their food, is like, if you drink a thing of water, your stamina is increased and your stamina regen is increased. If you eat some food, your health bar goes up. So like, if you're not worrying about eating, then that's fine. You're not going to die. Whereas, like, for instance, in Palworld, if you don't eat and you're hungry, once you reach 0 food in your bar, you slowly lose health until you get to 1 HP, and then you're always at 1 HP until you eat, and then you start to regen your health, which at least you don't die from not eating. There's an issue with some games where it's like, you will die from not eating. It's like sometimes you forget. Unfortunately, the issue with Palworld is the UI is bad. The HUD is kind of bad, and so they need to make it more obvious that you're hungry.
Okay.
Yeah, so like, it has its flaws. It needs to be fixed. It's a perfectly fine. It's like an enjoyable game for people who like this style of game. Be it whether you believe or not that the game was made via AI. There's people out there reporting that it was. There's people out there reporting that it wasn't. There's people trying to debunk that whether it was or wasn't. I don't know. Until there's definitive proof that it was an AI built only game, I'm going to still play it when I feel like playing it. I will not play this game if it is proven that they turned to an AI and said, create this game, and the AI built this game.
So I think that's already been debunked.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen people already talking that, like, the team that made it, like, went from developing it on Unity to actually swapping it to Unreal.
Yeah.
And, like, that's not a thing that AI did.
Yeah. There's people out there trying to be like, oh, look at these models. They look like Pokemon. And like, they're similar, sure. But then it's like somebody will post next to it. Yeah, but look at these models from Dragon Quest to Pokemon. That these dragons look like, this dragon looks like a Charizard. This thing looks like a this, and that thing looks like a that. And it'll show the same images, all three of them back to back to back. It's like,
Exactly.
creature design, yes, you can be unique and different when it comes to creature design, but it's unfortunate, and it's the same with TV, it's the same with movies, it's the same with books. You are going to reuse things. It's the same with music. Like, the same three chords are in every song. Like, you're going to reuse shit. Like, you're not reuse it, but you're going to take reference, and things are going to look the same. If you're taking a dragon, the dragon is going to look like other dragons. If you're taking a ferret that can shoot ice, it's going to look like a ferret that's a normal type that can't shoot ice. Because it's a fucking ferret. Like, there's some give and take. Like, yes, I sat here and I complained about that stupid friggin' paint game or whatever that's going to be on the PlayStation. Yeah, because to me it's a what's it called, clone. And like but like, I looked at that and I said, this is exactly that. Like, that's what I saw in that. But this game, like, I see more Ark than I do Pokemon. But like, and yeah, the menus are exactly Ark. If you're going to complain about this game being similar to something, complain about it being similar to Ark and not to Pokemon. Because yes, it has cool looking Pokemon-esque creatures, but this game's UI looks just like Ark. And so complain about that. I'm not trying to say steal games, because if you can steal like art and styles from lesser known games, then you can get away with it. But look, this is also this style of game. Like, that's how a lot of the style of game will work.
Yeah, maybe just don't complain about a game. Just don't play it if you don't want.
Yeah, play it, and if you think it's too much like a different game, then go back and play that other game. But here's the thing: you're not playing that other game. You're playing this game, but you're going to complain about it the entire time. No, just stop complaining about it. Then just don't play the game. If you're going to complain about it, don't play the game.
Unless you play it for 10 hours, then you have to complete it.
Look, if you play it for half the amount of time that it takes to beat the game, then you should just beat the game at that point.
A bad take, man.
If you spent half the amount of time it takes to beat the game, then there's nothing stopping you from beating the game.
Not wanting to spend another 10 hours.
Oh, then what made you spend the first 10 hours?
I don't know. Bored?
Well, get bored again.
There's other stuff to do.
Trust me, you're right on that one. There's so much to fucking play anymore.
I can play a game, I can read a book, I can watch a movie.
There's so many games that I want to play over the next few months and weeks, and luckily a year is 12 months, but we're almost done the first one.
Yeah, and actually, like, there's not that much the first half of the year that, like, I can think of that I care all that much about.
For me, at least, like, there's so much, because besides just taking away the 3 gameplay requests that I've gotten on stream now, because I just got a third one recently, taking that away, there's Enshrouded, there's Palworld. They're both just open world exploration crafting games. There's this game called Nightingale that comes out next month. Which is also another like open world crafting survival game. There's games that come out before this, like Void Train, that I want to play. I've barely touched City Skylines 2 since it came out. I want to play a lot of Lethal Company. Like, there's so many games out there that I want to play. There's just too many games out.
Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, I'll get at some point. I'm not going to get it right away. I don't want to play a 100-hour RPG that much right now.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Oh shit! That's February. That's the end of February.
Is it? Shit.
Yeah,
that sucks.
That
sucks.
I am vaguely interested in that Princess Peach Showtime, but probably won't buy it. I won't buy it right away. I'm scrolling through like just a short list of stuff. Star Wars Outlaws, if it comes out and looks decent, maybe. Same thing with that Indiana Jones game.
Yeah, I still haven't played Jedi Survivor. Still haven't played God of War Ragnarok. Like,
I didn't really care for Jedi Survivor as much. Like I liked the first one a ton, and just didn't really click with this one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's the Suicide Squad game. If you
Fuck
have
that.
any interest in that,
Fuck that.
Skull and Bones apparently is real.
Yeah, that's coming out soon, but I'm not gonna play that because I play Sea of Thieves. Unless like my Sea of Thieves group really wants to try Skull and Bones, probably not gonna play Skull and Bones.
Like the Persona 3 Reloaded also comes out in February, and that's another one where it's like, well, I don't want to play like a dragon right now. I'm probably not going to play Persona 3 right now, even though that's a Persona that I've never played and am actually super interested in. I just don't think the first week of February I'm going to be like, I want to play 100-hour fucking. Yeah. Also, it's not on anything. It's on PC, so like technically I could use the Steam Deck to play it, but like I'm not going to play that on the PS5, and if I'm not in the mood for one of those already, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like, there's just like, unfortunately, gaming now has become like streaming services. There's just so many games coming out anymore. And some of them are good, some of them might not be, but there's so many games out there that I want to play that I just can't because I don't have time. Fucking Pacific Drive is another one of these like survival-esque games where you're driving around in a car in like a void air, in like a pretty much Annihilation, but you have a car is really what it is, and that comes out also in February. I'm like, fuck, man, there's so many games that are just like coming out that I want, and I just don't have the time to play them anymore.
Yeah.
I hate it. And there's so many...
like, both fortunate and unfortunately for you, like, you kind of have yourself in a spot where basically the only time you play games is on stream. So, like, you don't have a lot of time for games that, like, aren't necessarily going to fit into your stream schedule either.
I mean, if I wanted to, and I've done it with some games, like I've done it with Baldur's Gate, done bonus streams here and there to play more of it, but like even whether I play it on stream or not, I still just don't have as much time as I used to.
But that's what I mean.
Because like that's
you're
also
streaming
because, like,
5 nights a week, like.
Well, and it's also because like tonight after we're done here, I'm gonna record the next 2 videos. Friday, instead of gaming and playing games, I'm going to edit those 2 videos plus the 1 video that I never edited from prior weeks that needs to come out next week. So there's 3 videos I need to edit. Then Saturday, probably going to veg out and do nothing because I'm just exhausted from doing all of the things. Or maybe finally eventually start filming and posting or recording and editing my Saturday series that I wanted to start doing. Like, there's a bunch of stuff that I want to do, and it's like, I can add this bonus time, but then it's like, I won't watch TV if I'm doing this. And like, there's a bunch of there's shows that I want to watch. There's movies I want to watch. Like, I'm only maybe less than halfway through the Sea of Thieves book I started reading because like, I don't have time to, I haven't had a lot of time. And like last week on Saturday, I tried to read and it was midday. It was like 3:00 as I'm reading and I'm starting to fall asleep. And I don't think it has anything to do with whether or not I'm interested in it. It has nothing to do with whether or not it's good. I've just been exhausted and tired. Maybe because I've been slowly poisoning myself for 2 months. That's probably why.
I mean, if nothing else, it probably hasn't been helping.
Exactly. So, like, now that I know this, maybe things will be better. We'll see. Also, I can't drink coffee right now. So I need a caffeine replacement. I can't drink caffeine right now, so I need some form of caffeine replacement. I also can't drink orange juice, so that's not going to work. Vitamin C, I don't know where to get vitamin C from that might help. So, yeah, it's just, I'm just tired, man. Even if I go to bed at say we get done here and I decide just to go to bed, I'm still not going to wake up till 8:00. I'll sleep for 12 hours, and then I won't want to wake up anyway.
You might have like chronic fatigue or something.
Well, again, it probably has a lot to do with the fact that I've been poisoning myself for 2 months.
You know, you keep saying that. Gluten's not poison, though. It's what makes the world go round.
It's poison to me.
Well, get a better body. You keep telling me to get good at games. Get good at being alive.
Look, I would if I could.
Try harder, right?
I'm doing my best.
It's just like a video game. Just try harder.
This is not like the Princess Bride where I can drink a little bit of a poison every day to build up my immune system for this. If
Yeah,
I
man.
do
Look,
that, I get
you're
cancer.
35 years in. Like, don't just get good.
No, there's no way
Finish
to
the
do that with
story.
this. There's no story with gluten. It's an open world survival game. There's no story to it. You just stop playing it eventually or die.
Um,
Not even kidding. It's fun. And this is a little bit of a side tangent. I had a doctor's appointment on Friday for my acid reflux, and I was talking to the doctor, and I've known for close to 7 years now that I had celiac. I've questioned it a few times here and there, but I've had an official diagnosis, and
for some reason, I didn't think you got diagnosed with it. I thought you just had like a
no,
sensitivity.
no, I got diagnosed with celiac.
Oh, okay.
It was, let's see, it was 2017, so about 7 years ago. Um, uh, I had an upper GI, and he was like, they told me that the test came back negative, but based on what they saw in my intestines, and based on the blood test, and based on the fact that I was feeling better, not eating it, that is positive. Sometimes you get a false negative when it comes to this test. It just really depends on the certain test. It's dumb. So I tell the doctor, and they take it I'm just talking to them, and I'm like, yeah, and I actually like, yeah, I'm celiac too. So blah, blah, and they're like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah, you didn't. And they look and like, oh wow, I didn't see that in your notes. Oh man, and then everything gets super serious for a second. I'm like, um, what's going on? And they're like, well, we'll definitely be able to get you for the upper GI if you're confirmed celiac. You're actually supposed to get that every couple of years. I'm like, oh yeah, my doctor never told me that. My doctor kind of sucked. But they're like, well, it's been about 7 years. You're due now, five or so every 5 or so years, just to make sure everything's okay. I'm like, all right, that's fine then.
Basically,
And
the rest of your life, every 5 years, you're having stuff shoved in both ends.
just the front, just the top for now. And
Anyway,
then
but in about 5 years, you'll need it from the
in
other
about
side.
5 or 10 years, it'll be the other side. But I don't think they can do that both at the same time.
No, they definitely can't do it at the same time. It's probably two different doctors.
Yeah, true. Duh. But yeah, so they start telling me you got make sure you're gluten free. I'm like, yeah, I've been gluten free for as long as I've gotten the thing. There's been some slip ups here and there by accidents, but nothing. I'd stay away from it. And they're like, oh, because you could get lymphoma or lymphoma, leukemia, one of those, a lymphoma if you eat. I'm like, yeah, I know. I've trust me. I've done all my research. I
Didn't know that.
Yes, you are if you continue to eat gluten when you're a celiac, you have an increased risk of upper gastrolymphoma.
Oh wow.
Which is and then I told them stories where yeah, I have coworkers who said that friends of theirs, they'll be like, you know what, I just want to have a pizza today, and they'll just eat a pizza and be like, my family can deal with the consequences later. And they're like, yeah, no, you're not supposed to do that. I'm like, trust me, I know.
I think that's probably the difference between actually having celiac and just having a gluten sensitivity.
Yeah.
If you're sensitive, it's just you're gonna have an upset stomach afterwards.
Yeah.
If you actually have celiacs, there are consequences.
There are consequences, and so they everything got serious for a second, and they're telling me all these things definitely. I'm like, yeah, I know this, I know that, I know it could affect my mental state, I know blah 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 and this and that, and I know. I'm like, and so they're like, all right, good, we'll get you all these tests and blah blah blah. I just thought it was funny that they everything got serious for a second, and then both because my doctor was a fellow doctor, a fellowship, so she's not, even though she got her degree 6 years ago, she's still technically in training for another 6 months. She's been a doctor for 6 years. Yeah, she's been a doctor for 6 years, but she still has to report to her resident or whatever for another 6 months. That's the way she said it. She's like, yeah, this is my 5th year in fellowship, which that just means that I have another 6 months that I have to report to another doctor before I can be my own doctor. I'm like, wow. And so she's like, okay, so you're gluten free, you're this, you're that, and it's all serious. And then she goes and gets her resident, and he comes in and he's like, so she tells me you're celiac, and so you're gluten free, and you're this, and you're that, and everything's serious. And he brings me pamphlets. I'm like, I've been like this for 7 years. Yes, thank you. I appreciate all the seriousness. And then they were like, do you have kids? I'm like, no. Do you have brother and sister? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they should get tested. I'm like, I've told them a million times. told them a million times that they should get tested. And they're like, and they haven't listened. I'm like, they're not gonna listen to me. Okay. As long as you know and they know. Yep. So,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But anyway, Palworld. I don't know how we got onto that whole conversation, but Palworld, solid game. But I might play it more. If I actually today, it's Payday Friday this week. I'm buying Enshrouded for sure. So yeah, we're probably not playing Palworld again for a while, unless I have friends who want to play it together, and they all have it on Game Pass. Because if they don't have it on Game Pass, then I can't help them.
Well, I mean, you could try though.
I'm not buying it on Steam. Not in the state that it's in.
I mean, that is the right move.
It's a totally worthwhile game to play and to buy. But because I have access to it on Game Pass, and it's in the state that it's in, it's not worth buying.
That's fair.
Like, unless everyone I know gets it on Steam, and I'm the only one who has it on Game Pass, there's no reason for me to get it on Steam.
Yeah, no, that is totally valid.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my computer is being weird, so we should probably wrap this up.
Probably do that.
For some reason, my Chrome windows have stopped responding, but not stopped responding. They say that they're offline. So,
Enjoy.
Yeah, it's great. Let me open up a notepad so I can make this last timestamp too. So yeah, next week we're not doing anything. Where the fuck is this notepad I just opened? There it is. Man, this is just not going well for me right now.
Man, figure your shit out. Figure your shit out.
Next week is just regular week, so I don't know where I was going with that before. But in 2 weeks, we'll be watching Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse for our next book club. And if you would like to find more of our content, you can head over to www.one-quest.com. You can also help us out by supporting us at patreon.com/onequest. If you can't support us there with your dollars, though, you can go to your favorite podcast platform, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Rate us, review us, subscribe to us. It all helps. You can also find us on social media, facebook.com/onequestonline or at @1_quest on Twitter and Instagram. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/onequestvideo, and you can always send us an email to social@one-quest.com. And other than that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Oh, Rich, what is your streaming?
Twitch.tv/B_walnuts, video game streaming Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Come out on Sunday. What is Sunday? What is Sunday? 28th, sometime in the afternoon. Well, it'd probably be more so sometime in the late evening when this happens, but I'm beating Baldur's Gate 3 on Sunday. I'm beating it. It will be beat most likely on Sunday. So come hang out. It'll be a long stream, probably starting around 12 or 1-ish until I beat the game. So I know for a fact I have at least two bosses and the final sequence to do. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but come watch me fight some demigods and a god, or kind of a god. Yeah, come hang out. Twitch.tv/B_walnuts. Also Sea of Thieves and whatever else I can get into.
Cool. And with that, we will be back next week with something else to talk about. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See yous.